Hello Internet, it's time for another Wednesday serial, May 9th, 2012. I just thought I'd show off my t-shirt that my girlfriend bought me real quick. It's Leonardo drawing Leonardo, oh my god! Okay, so there you go. So I tried this out from Boom Studios, Rich Johnson's Captain American Idol, and the whole reason I picked this up was because the art by Chris Haley. If you're unfamiliar, he's the artist from Let's Be Friends Again, which is a comic that pretty much always makes me laugh. I was reading through this and there's a couple gags that are kind of funny, but it's just kind of like this weird goof on the whole Captain America movie retold, and man, this guy seems to be pumping out a lot of these like kind of wonky takes on the whole Marvel movie universe, and I'm not a fan. If you like really cheesy gag sort of stuff, kind of like a Saturday Night Live comic take, if you will, you might like it, maybe. Yeah, it was kind of cool to see the art, and that's pretty much what made any of the gags here. Yeah, here's hoping Chris Haley can find some better work, because if he's only associated stuff like this, he's not going to go as far as he could, because he's a really cool artist. He has this very cartoony comic style. It works, but not here. Alright, Buffy, A Part of Me, Part 2, issue 9 of this new season, whatever, new Buffy comic. I can't wait for them to get past this arc. Not to spoil this issue, but if you've been reading, there's a whole lot of hubbub around Buffy having an abortion when she got pregnant. It turns out when she was that, she was a robot. Her mind was planned into a robot, which, okay, mind swap into robot I'll take, but then how did the robot seem to get pregnant is a little too much. And then the direction this issue went, I don't like what they're doing right now, not because it's not interesting, they couldn't play out, but it's just too much weirdness, and I'm really getting sick of the zompire thing, just because of the vampires without magic in the world have no way to keep the soul loosely bound, so they're all completely animalistic, which is a neat concept, but I hope they get rid of it, because it's costing part of the real strength of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was the fact that the villains were as much characters as the heroes, and now they're just completely just animalistic villain, which takes all the spark and joy out of kind of what made the vampires in Buffy special. So yeah, so I'm hoping there'll be a return to the status quo with that, which I'm normally a fan of them straying from, but this one's just costing too much story potential. And yeah, the characters are written right, it's just the direction this issue's going in I'm not liking, so I'm going to stick with it, because I have a feeling this arc I'm just going to write out, then I'll be back on board fully again, because the writing's solid, just the direction isn't there, and the art is as it ever was with this stuff. So, and now for something completely different. Journey into Mystery, Exiled Part 2, team up with the New Mutants, which is a very weird team up. This comic is like crazy. Loki spends half the time not realizing he's Loki, and the New Mutants see all these Asgardian figures as just normal town folk, and that's kind of like the weird humor, weirdness, mystery of it, and it is just, it's weird. I imagine most people will be in my situation where they don't really know any of these characters. The only one I really know is Kid Loki, and he's not even really him except for a few pages, and it's surreal, but it's kind of interesting, but you have to slow down to try to follow it, especially if you're unfamiliar with who and what's going on. It's a trip, and it is not action at all, at least not yet. Like, there was no action, it was all talking, yet it was moving and very weird, and the art really played well with it, and it's an interesting look into what you can do with some of these really off-the-wall characters in a way that doesn't have to be Biff Pam Wow, you know? If you are hesitant about picking up something like Journey into Mystery and looking at Kid Loki and how someone can try to do all these great things to overcome the ego of essentially being a supervillain and then try to do good, it's an interesting look, but I'd recommend anything before this. This is too much going on for someone to just jump onto. I know a lot of this crossover is to try to kind of show a little bit of what's going on in each comic, but it's so off the wall and so different, I imagine, for both sides of the coin that it's just a weird trip and something that, I mean, I can't think of any comic that's done something like this, really. I mean, this is crazy, mixing up so that no one knows what's going on. At the same time, they're teaming up trying to figure it out, and there's not fighting, there's not any of that. It's just people trying to sort out a magic spell that distorted reality. That's it. It's crazy. Punisher 11 is why Greg Rucka is the fucking man. Alright, I'm gonna just spoil this one, so if you don't want to spoil, skip ahead to when you hold up the comic. This is a whole one about how Detective Bolt, the one who Punisher held out the gun for in issue 1 and shot up all those guys, then Bolt was claimed to be the hero for NYPD for handling the situation so well, comes clean with the department. And he comes clean after he helped the Punisher deal with a zombie situation in Times Square, a la Black Talon, some excuse to get Punisher messing up some zombies in a way that wasn't just off the fucking wall. And through it, Bolt saying, you know, I'm not the Punisher. And it really shows, like, why the Punisher is this amazing force to be reckoned with. I mean, Bolt's missing. He's trying to get these shots, not shoot the civilians, but shoot the zombies, not take them out as effectively. Meanwhile, Punisher's holding this huge-ass gun, just blam, you know, right on with every shot, and just seeing how amazing that is by comparison. It really holds up. I mean, in a way that you can't do with a character like Batman or something, because it's so insanely stupid. But the Punisher's just... He's not a lot of things when it comes to action. He's a fucking marksman, and they're displaying that in a great way within the story. And Bolt's outlining this and telling the department about what happened, how he's been feeding information to the Punisher and just coming clean as per motivation shown earlier in the series. And high-ups want Bolt to be made a hero for this incident because A, he already has some pull with the press as for taking credit for the last thing that the Punisher did with him involved, and initially his badge was taken away, but they hand it back to him because they whitewashed the whole incident. They want to make him a hero of the situation because they need to do something to spin in the press, so they whitewash it because they have to justify zombies in New York City. So this is Marvel, so zombies in New York City's like, you know, a fire broke out or a gang war got a bit out of hand. I mean, shit happens and someone needs to take responsibility and whatnot, but it's not like insane, out of the realm of possibility, whatever. And so they're just spinning it, and it's this crazy moment where you see, like, why the Punisher doing what he does, operating outside of the fucking system, is so much more powerful and effective despite your opinions of the moralizing of it. I mean, the idea of some vigilante just getting something done, you see why someone doing that can at least get something fucking done, whereas if you're dealing with a system, it's just wheels spinning. It's a crazy crime story here, and it's just, they're able to exemplify all that sort of idea of, with, you know, like, politics taking over the cops and then everything, and within the framing of, you know, a zombie story. What the hell? Like, that's so amazing. That's so exactly what comic books are for. Right, Fatale concludes book 1, and overall, good crime storytelling, but what I was really hoping for out of this book was a bit more of the namesake, like a main feminine protagonist to kind of go through these sort of things, kind of just a simple spin on a simple genre, and it isn't that. It rotates more about a woman, has all these crazy mystical elements, but it's still the guys doing the action, the guys taking care of business, and I was just hoping for a simple spin. It's still a great tale, it's still there, it's just, off the namesake and all that, it's just one thing I was hoping to see and it wasn't there, and it's a little disappointing for that, but beyond that, great comic, totally check it out. I can't even talk about it without ruining it, so there you go. The Scarlet Spider. Despite this being like the 90s Spider-Man that like cusses and cuts people up with swords, isn't afraid to kill, and oh my god, it's so dark and gritty, it kind of makes sense. And the biggest reason I like this comic is it's in Houston. Not that I really have any big attraction to Houston, whatever, but it's just not in New York City. Dear Lord, there needs to be more of that with your big superhero comics. So anyways, nuclear bomb's gonna go off in Houston, and last minute save, if that's a spoiler for you, read more comics. It's crazy to see how he responds to and how he deals with it, and how his initial reaction is to run. Like, he is a Spider-Man like antithesis character all the way, and it's kind of crazy to see how they play it. And this comic could really easily go off the rails, but the coolest part about this was they were calling in Iron Man to try to deal with this nuclear threat, and even at top speed, just because of where he is, he couldn't make it in time. Just because Scarlet Spider was there, he was able to save the day in a completely different town, and he's just kind of there, and it's a different kind of hero for a different kind of town, and it's more gritty, and you're dealing with these religious zealots, which for some people down south, it just makes so much more sense, and it's just a different feel, just to get a feel of a different city, and it's just so refreshing to read that I really feel like that's what makes this book. It's like the difference of Metropolis or Gotham, like, even more so though, because it's so much more subtle. It's not like grim and gritty, or like, despite shit blowing up all the time, everyone's happy. No, it's a different place with a different idea and different things going on, and it's a different population, and it's just crazy to see how where you put a character really affects how they're received and what you can do with them, and it's really cool for just that. X-Force 25, and it moves forward, and it does a lot to tie in with Wolverine and the X-Men, which is interesting to kind of see them take Wolverine's character in the current state, sans the Avengers vs. X-Men shit, and kind of tie it together in an interesting way, and I thought that was really cool. They also did some cool stuff with Deadpool's been kind of needlessly on the team so far in this issue. Then they had a couple of backups, one Wolverine, one Deadpool, and they were both pretty weak. This probably isn't the best time to pick it up, $5 for the issue 25, but fun read, and certainly it's nice. Again, we have artists back on of top-notch quality, and it's nice to see that after the small stint of the very washy art. And yeah, comics back on track, and I'm looking forward to just regular issues. I'm also going to talk about this, but I'm going to do that in another video because I have a whole separate thing going on, so tune in for that. That's it for the normal comics this week. Like, subscribe, comments, death threats down below. I will talk to you soon, hit you with another review, and we got something special going on with the whole comic book reviewing community coming up next week. So stay tuned for that, and it's gonna be sweet.